structure will yield content. Okay? Straight up. Like, I'm not saying it's just. Not at all. Unless you're thinking about the content, in which case, then yes. So, for them to turn around and refuse to give us this Georgia televised court proceeding, woo, I'd be pissed.
Around January 6th, Trump was acting in his official capacity as president. They argue that conversations he had with state officials about election proceedings, that's all.
He's been looking extra shit, by the way. Like, he's been looking real bad. I noticed it in the last speech he gave. He just looks so burnt. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's like lost weight as well. Have you heard a Civil War take? No. I think I heard bits and pieces of it. He was just like trying to. Does anyone have the Civil War take? Actually, I would love to see it. They're lowering the video resolution so you can't see how shitty he looks in his rallies now. Wait, no way. No, they're not. That's crazy. Like saying you're deliberately running ad breaks so people don't see how shitty Trump looks at the top of the hour. It's like, no, that's just a thing that I do at the top of the hour. And also you can avoid the ads and see how shitty Trump looks at the top of the hour, just like every other part of the hour, as long as you subscribe for $5 or free with a Twitch Prime. Is that the best type of segue? No. Did I try my best? Yes. And sometimes you should give me a 10-10 just for trying hard, okay? Participation trophy style. Just like sometimes you get a gifted sub to avoid the top of the hour ad break, participation trophy style. Here's the 3-minute ad break now.
All part of his official duties as president, and of course they argue that because it was part of his official duties as president that he should be protected under presidential immunity. These are the same arguments they've made before in the federal case, but so far the courts have not seen it this way. This argument was dismissed at the district trial level here in Washington, D.C. His former White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, has also argued similar issues, and a court of appeals dismissed the idea that election-related activities, that those are really part of his official federal duties. Now, this question about immunity, the extent to which the former president has any protections for his actions around January 6th, Dana, this is a question that could ultimately end up at the Supreme Court. Special counsel Jack Smith has already asked the high court once to just weigh in and settle this once and for all. They declined to do that, instead letting oral arguments go ahead in the Court of Appeals. Whatever happens after these oral arguments or the Georgia case, it is highly likely that the justices will again be asked to weigh in on this. It's unclear if they're going to want to weigh in here, but one thing that is for sure is that by litigating this at the federal and state level, the former president has been at least successful in delaying his federal case and could be successful in delaying the state case as well.
Yeah. I mean, obviously he would like immunity, but the short-term goal is to delay, as you've been saying for quite some time. You mentioned that he is going to be in court tomorrow for an appeals court hearing.
I love diversity.
He has a
CNN.
Pretty significant courtroom scheduled this week, the final week before the Iowa caucuses.
Bro, they look like...
Yeah.
They look like different variants of one another. Like, it's the same person, but just like slightly different. Crazy. Which is ironic because it's also identical to fucking Fox News, too. It's the same... Whatever.
He sure does. I mean, we're seeing the intersection between the campaign events and all these legal proceedings. This is something we've been talking about for quite some time. And tomorrow, arguably constitutionally the most consequential day, his lawyers and lawyers for the special counsel will argue before an appellate panel about this issue of immunity. But Dana, even one of his former lawyers, Tim Parlatore, has told me on air, he just doesn't expect him to win on the merits. But again, if the larger strategy, the broader strategy is at least to try to get that federal case delayed until after the November 2024 election, in some ways, they've already won. And then later this week, there will be closing arguments in another civil case that he faces up in New York. Now, there's no jail time on the line here. This is not a criminal case, but it's really personal for the former president. It's about his business, their ability to do business in the state of New York, potentially facing hundreds of millions of dollars in penalties. We've seen him show up to numerous proceedings in the